Chapter 110. Without a warlock keeping watch, Baza City's warriors basically didn't have the ability to threaten the level 1 extraordinary life form hippogriffs in the sky. Even if it was a knight rank archer, without the blessing of a spell to strengthen their physical constitution, even if they shot the hippogriffs, they still wouldn't be able to break through the other party's feathers. A soldier hesitated for a moment before saying, "I've heard that dark elves abduct humans to make love with them and give birth to the next generation. Surrendering might not be so bad." Dark elves were said to be a branch of high elven blood meridians. They possessed high elven blood meridians. Their males were handsome and their females were beautiful. There were no ugly ones. Due to the shackles of their bloodline, the ratio of males to females was 1:20. There were too few males and they were basically studs. Therefore, they would abduct a lot of different races to make love with them and give birth to the next generation. After hearing that soldier's words and thinking of all kinds of legends about the dark elves, the soldiers atop the city walls slightly relaxed and their fighting spirit dissipated. Ares said with a cold smile, "That's right, as long as we human males fall into the hands of the dark elves, then we'll become their breeding tools. However, every man that falls into their hands will have to be bred more than 50 times a day. Which one of you can stand it?" The soldiers atop the city wall thought for a moment before their complexions turned pale. 1 or 2 times a day was enjoyable, but 50 times a day was absolutely fatal. Ares continued to strike back. "Moreover, after they discover that you guys can't be used, they'll throw you alive to feed all kinds of extraordinary life forms. Then they'll giggle from the side as they watch you being eaten alive. Do you still want to surrender like this?" When the soldiers atop the city wall heard that, their bodies turned ice cold. Only now did they realize that the dark elves not only had lascivious characteristics, but also cold-blooded and ruthless, cruel and cunning, and so on. Among the dark elves, there was a type of war weapon called the drow spider. The drow spider was a dark elf who was defeated in a battle and was turned into an evil existence with the lower body of a large spider and the upper body of a dark elf. Drow possessed formidable magical resistance and could walk on all kinds of terrains just like a spider. It could even walk freely on top of city walls. It was a terrifying weapon with battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. The ruler of the dark elves, goddess Lolth, was an evil goddess. The dark elves also grasped a large number of sinister and taboo spells and rituals. If humans fell into the hands of the dark elves, they wouldn't have a good ending. The dozens of hippogriffs in the sky quickly flew above Baza City's city wall. The dark elf archers on the backs of the hippogriffs didn't utter any superfluous words and immediately shot arrows at the warriors above Baza City. The dark elven archers riding on the hippogriffs had superb archery skills. As if they had eyes, the arrows instantly pierced through the bodies of dozens of human warriors, directly nailing them to the ground. Above the city wall of Baza City, many human archers drew their bows and shot arrows towards the sky. A dense rain of arrows flew towards the sky. A despairing scene appeared. Most of the arrows shot by the human archers missed, while a small portion of them were directly slapped away by the hippogriffs. Not a single hippogriffs were injured. The dark elven archers in the sky easily shot down the human archers, killing them one by one. After more than 100 human archers were killed, the morale of the human soldiers on the city wall began to crumble, and they all began to flee down the city wall. Each and every one of them scrambled to be the first to throw away their helmets and armor, and some even killed their companions. Within the headquarters of the allied forces of the dark elves attacking Baza City, the dark elven commander Biska, with a sexy figure, dressed in a sexy leather armor and exuding a seductive charm, looked at the humans above the city wall who had thrown away their helmets and armor. The corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a sneer. Biska took out a scimitar, pointed at Baza City, and shouted in a stern voice, "Without the support of warlocks, these humans are truly a bunch of wastes. For such wastes to be able to occupy this fertile land for so many years is simply a waste. Under the guidance of Her Majesty the Great Goddess, we'll definitely be victorious and dominate this fertile land. Charge." up to 4 meters tall drow with the upper body of a huge naked dark elf and the lower body of a sinister spider walked out from the allied forces of the dark elves and quickly crawled in the direction of Baza City. Drow, as weapons of war that could walk on top of city walls, were one of the strongest weapons of the dark elves. Baza City didn't have any warlocks guarding it. Biska could massacre the defenders of Baza City by relying on the 30 drow. As Biska watched the drow rapidly approach Baza City, the corners of her mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. As long as the drow attacked Baza City and then opened the city gate, the Dark Elven army would be able to easily enter Baza City and easily take control of the city. Johann had taken away the demonic snake legion as well as all the warlock families within Satsuma Marquisdom, leaving Satsuma Marquisdom without any warlocks to protect it. This made Satsuma Marquisdom seem as if it had become an egg without a shell, and anyone could easily take a bite out of it. Fishtooth City was also easily captured by the allied forces of the Dark Elves. A city without the protection of warlocks was truly too fragile. At this moment, rumbling sounds of propellers were transmitted from the sky. Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft flew over from the rear of Baza City. Everyone's eyes flashed with a touch of astonishment as they looked at the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters beside them. What's that? Are those new alchemical weapons? Many of the human soldiers raised their heads and looked at the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters in the sky, their eyes flashing with a touch of hope. The level of education of the human soldiers wasn't high, but they still knew some legends regarding warlocks. According to the legends, warlock alchemists had the power to manufacture all kinds of outrageous alchemical weapons. Every formidable warlock alchemist had the terrifying power to reverse the tide of a battle. The warriors of the allied forces of the Dark Elves of the Underworld's allied forces watched the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters in the sky, their eyes flashing with a touch of uneasiness. In those days, they were suppressed by human warlocks and they were very clear about the strength and terror of human warlocks. Chapter 111. Get rid of them. Biska looked at the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport helicopters and Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters that suddenly appeared in the sky, and her eyes flashed with a touch of unease, before she screamed and ordered. The 60 hippogriffs carrying the Dark Elven archers quickly flew towards the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. There were only 15 Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. They had the confidence to get rid of these steel lumps. The hippogriffs had just moved when the 15 extremely nimble Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters that resembled flying heavy tanks immediately launched. They transformed, unfolded their wings, and at the same time, ejected a powerful stream of air from the propellers beneath their wings. Their speeds suddenly soared, and they turned into 15 fighter-like heavy-duty assault helicopters. After the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters transformed, their speeds suddenly soared to half the speed of sound. Their cannons rumbled, and countless shells formed a terrifying barrage barreling towards the hippogriff riders in the sky. A hippogriff rider was hit in the chest by a 37.5 mm cannonball, and the upper half of his body was blasted apart. The hippogriff of a hippogriff rider was hit in the head, and the hippogriff rider's head was blasted apart, and the hippogriff rider dropped to the ground. Copious amounts of blood sputtered. One after another, the hippogriff riders were blasted apart and fell from the sky. The hippogriff riders, who were the best archers of the Dark Elves, also displayed extremely terrifying archery. Their arrows unexpectedly hit the high-speed Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. But it was of no use. Those arrows were basically unable to tear through the tank-like thick armor of the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters. They merely stuck on the armor of the Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters and were unable to cause any substantial damage. Long live the Lord. Kill them. Kill those freaks. Long live the Lord. When the humans on the ground saw this scene, they erupted in earth-shaking cheers. Even the stupidest person would know that only their new Overlord would be able to send such powerful alchemical weapons to help them. When the warriors of the allied forces of the underworld saw this scene, Their complexions at once became very unsightly. The roof of a Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft opened, and a platform appeared, lifting Yang Feng to the roof of the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Simultaneously, numerous loudspeakers extended from the roof of the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Yang Feng looked down at the Baza City's military and civilians and said faintly, "I'm Rex, the newly appointed Lord of Satsuma Markim. From today onwards, you're all my people and can obtain my protection. As long as you are loyal to me, I will fulfill my responsibilities as a lord and protect you." Under the effect of the loudspeaker, Baza City's military and civilians could clearly hear Yang Feng's words. "Long live Lord Lake. Long live the great Lord Rex. May the great Overlord Rex be eternal." Earth-shaking cheers and praises for Yang Feng were once again transmitted from Baza City. "Those who oppose me will be destroyed." Amidst the cheers of countless people in Baza City, Yang Feng pointed towards the 30 drow. The 15 Falcon heavy-duty assault helicopters in the sky fired their air-to-ground missiles. Boom, 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 boom. Accompanied by a series of earth-shattering explosions, the 30 drow spider were blown to pieces one by one, fragmented and fragmented. Seeing the 30 drow being blasted into pieces, the complexions of the warriors of the underworld's allied forces became even more unsightly. The 50 Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft directly landed on Baza City's city wall. Level 4 primary battle robots successively unloaded and installed the self-propelled artillery, fixed artillery, laser artillery, rocket artillery, howitzers, heavy machine guns, anti-aircraft cannons and many other military weapons inside the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft. Yang Feng looked down at the many warriors of Baza City and said in a deep voice as if a god, "Warriors of Baza City, return to your posts and fight in order to protect your homeland. For Rex Darren, for our homeland, brothers, pick up our weapons and fight." Ares raised the blade in his hands and bellowed loudly, "Fight! Fight!" Baza City's human warriors at once raised their weapons and bellowed loudly with rousing morale. Their voices shook the sky and they walked towards their posts one after another. Baza City's human warriors had no lack of brave warriors, but without the support of warlocks, they were just like unarmed people facing fully armed special forces, without any power to resist. Now that Yang Feng had brought a huge number of military weapons to support them, it allowed them to regain their fighting spirit. Yang Feng jumped down from the Thunder Demon heavy-duty transport aircraft and stood on top of the city wall, his gaze cold and detached as he looked at the distant dark elven allied forces. Biska hesitated for a moment, then clenched her teeth and ordered, "Attack!" Following Biska's order, dense crowds of eyeless cavemen poured out of the allied forces of the underground races. Those cavemen were approximately 1 meters tall, had huge heads and didn't have eyes. They could only rely on their hearing and the cavemen leader's spirit force to guide them. Those cavemen's reproductive ability was extremely terrifying. As long as they were given enough food, a female caveman could give birth to hundreds of offspring in a year. They were weak and had low intelligence. They were the lowest level of existence in the underground world and were the best cannon fodder. A fully armed human soldier could easily kill a few cavemen at the same time. Those cavemen were also very easy to feed. They could survive by eating some leaves and grass. In a short war, even if their numbers were greater, the pressure on the logistics wouldn't be too great. However, those hundreds of thousands of cavemen suddenly rushed out and pounced towards Baza City like countless large man-eating ants. Seeing those densely packed cavemen, the complexions of the human warriors above Baza City's city wall suddenly changed and their eyes flashed with a whiff of fear. There were only 5,000 regular troops within the entire Baza City. If they were to fight in the open, then those hundreds of thousands of cavemen would be able to tear them to shreds. Even if they had the city wall to rely on, it still wouldn't be that simple to kill those hundreds of thousands of cavemen. Open fire! Yang Feng looked at those hundreds of thousands of cavemen with a callous gaze and ordered in a cold voice. The several tens of heavy machine guns above Baza City's city wall instantly spat out countless tongues of flame. A dense hail of bullets formed a terrifying metal storm sweeping towards those cavemen. Chapter 112. Under the frenzied strafing of the several tens of heavy machine guns, thousands upon thousands of caveman warriors were blasted at practically every moment, with blood and limbs splashing in all directions. The incomparably huge caveman legion seemed to have hit an invisible wall, unable to advance by even an inch, before being blasted into pieces by the heavy machine guns. Ares watched as the countless cavemen were blasted into pieces, his heart brimming with shock. So strong. So strong. These are Lord Darren's alchemical war weapons, they're really too strong. When the human warriors above the city wall saw this scene, their hearts brimmed with shock as well. Although the human warriors in Baza City had undergone strict military training, but it was the first time they had seen the terror of warlocks in a large-scale war. The complexions of the warriors of all the races within the Dark Elven Allied Forces headquarters were extremely unsightly when they saw this scene. The cavemen were indeed cannon fodder. An adult Dark Elf could casually kill several tens of them. But when faced with hundreds of thousands of cavemen, even the Dark Elven mages would have to retreat. Otherwise, they might be killed by those several 100,000 cavemen. Currently, more than 100,000 cavemen had died before they even approached Baza City's city wall. According to this situation, the cavemen would be completely wiped out before they could even approach Baza City. Biska's complexion was also extremely unsightly. She looked at Baza City from afar, her heart burning with anxiety, her beautiful eyes brimming with gloom, and she was in a dilemma. The Dark Elves' allied forces of the underground world commanded by Biska was only a partial division. The strongest experts in this subdivision merely possessed battle prowess comparable to human level 2 warlocks. If this subdivision joined hands, they could contend against a human level 3 warlock. However, when she saw the never-before-seen modern war weapons above the city wall, an ominous premonition shrouded Biska's heart and she somewhat wanted to retreat. Biska hesitated for a moment, then she thought of the punishment she would receive if she failed. She felt a chill in her heart and shouted in a stern voice, "Deploy the giant magical catapults." From the rear of the allied forces, 30 meters long giant trucks pulled by 9 black wildebeests were quickly opened. Sexy and beautiful dark elves quickly assembled many parts engraved with profound runes from the huge trucks. Giant mana catapults that were 30 meters long, engraved with countless magewebs, and equipped with 36 magic stone sockets were quickly assembled. The giant magic energy catapult could throw terrifying boulders with a diameter of more than 20 meters, with a range of up to 5 kilometers. It was one of the Dark Elves' strongest siege weapons. Even if it was a level 3 warlock, their protective force field would be directly smashed and they would be smashed into mincemeat by the boulders of the giant magical energy catapults. The giant magic catapults were extremely precious, and the allied Dark Elves only had 10 of them. Fire! After the Night Elves assembled half of the giant magic energy catapults, the corners of Yangfeng's mouth rose, his eyes flashed with a cold glint, and he ordered. 20 self-propelled cannons that hadn't fired before were instantly adjusted by the smart chip and fired. Boom, 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 boom. Along with earth-shattering booms, the 10 newly assembled giant magic energy catapults were engulfed by the artillery fire of the self-propelled cannons before exploding into pieces and splashing in all directions. Seeing the giant magic energy catapults explode into pieces, the allied Dark Elves immediately split up and fled frantically. The giant magic energy catapults were positioned behind them. Now that the giant magic energy catapults were destroyed by Yangfeng's artillery fire, then Yangfeng's artillery fire could also hit them. Retreat! Retreat! Biska was so angry that she spat out a mouthful of blood when she saw this scene. She had a gloomy expression as she screamed loudly. Shortly after, the enormous Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld collapsed, before leaving behind countless supply wagons and retreating towards the rear. Long live Lord Rex! Long live Lord Rex! Above Baza City, when the human warriors saw this scene, they erupted into crazy cheers. If it wasn't for Yangfeng's appearance, then they might have already become the captives of the Dark Elves, living a life worse than death. After seeing the Dark Elves' defeat, they were brimming with worship towards Yangfeng. Yang Feng looked at the retreating Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. His gaze flickered a few times, but he didn't give the order to pursue. Instead, he let the Level 4 primary battle robots continue to hunt down the cavemen. Yang Feng looked at the retreating Dark Elves' allied forces. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. Now is still not the time. These Dark Elves can't be defeated yet. With Yang Feng's current forces, he could dispatch a large number of primary battle robots and easily annihilate this wave of Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. But in that case, he would receive the attention of the Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. Then the next enemy he would have to face would be God knows how many times stronger. Johann didn't want to completely consume his strength in the continuous battle against the Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. That's why he chose to quickly withdraw all of his strength from Satsuma Markium. Similarly, Yang Feng also didn't want to consume all of his strength in the battle against the Dark Elves' allied forces from the underworld. What's your name? Yang Feng arrived before Ares, looked at the warrior with the most outstanding performance and asked in a deep voice. Ares knelt on one knee on the ground, looked up at Yang Feng and said, "My name is Ares, Darren Lord." Although Ares was a knight rank expert, but he wasn't a warlock, nor was he an aristocrat, so when he saw the Lord he naturally had to kneel on one knee to show his allegiance. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, "I'm very fond of your loyalty and bravery. Are you willing to become my retainer?" Ares' eyes flashed with a touch of delight and he said loudly, "Mighty Darren Lord, to become your retainer would be my greatest honor." Yang Feng pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. A bronze chest immediately flew out from the dimensional crest and landed in front of Ares. Yang Feng said, "Cut open your wrist and sprinkle your blood all over this chest." Ares didn't hesitate. He directly brandished his sword and cut open his wrist. A large amount of blood spurted out from his blood vessels and sprinkled inside the bronze chest. The bronze chest at once blossomed with a cyan radiance and directly opened, revealing a bronze lion with countless mysterious runes engraved on its body. The bronze lion quickly decomposed into pieces of armor and quickly flew towards Ares, forming a set of bronze armor on his body. There were 9 grooves on the front and back of the bronze armor. Each groove was embedded with an intermediate magic stone. Chapter 113. That bronze-colored armor covered Ares's entire body. Shortly after, an incomparably formidable power was transmitted from the armor, making Ares feel as if his body was brimming with power. "Ayo!" Ares suddenly faced upwards and issued a bellow. In a flash, a terrifying life force comparable to that of a level 1 warlock erupted, pressuring the surrounding ordinary human warriors to the point that they were somewhat breathless. Ares at once knelt on the ground and said loudly, "Many thanks to his lord for bestowing me with power. After wearing this mystical armor, I feel as if my power has been promoted to that of a Sky Knight rank. I'm willing to become his lord's retainer and be loyal to you for generations to come. I'll become your shield, I'll resist all harm for you, I'll become your sharp sword, I'll behead all enemies for you." When the human warriors above the city wall heard Ares's words, their eyes flashed with a whiff of jealousy. Especially the eyes of several great knights whose strength was originally far above Ares. Their eyes were brimming with jealousy and envy. Gazes were concentrated on the bronze-colored armor on Ares's body. Everyone knew that it was definitely a secret treasure made by a formidable warlock alchemist. At the same time, gazes were also concentrated on Yang Feng. Those great knights of Baza City longed to become Yang Feng's retainers like Ares, to obtain the secret treasure that resembled the bronze-colored armor and obtain tremendous power. The corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose slightly and his eyes flashed with a whiff of a smile. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he bestowed Ares with this secret treasure armor that was a fusion of warlock and Shizu technology, in order to win over the hearts of Baza City's people and recruit even more experts. That secret treasure armor could allow a knight rank expert to possess battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 Sky Knight. However, its manufacturing cost was more than 100 times that of a level 7 bladed troop. In terms of quality-price ratio, it simply wasn't worth it. However, in terms of winning over the hearts of the people, the secret treasure armor's value was extremely huge. This secret treasure armor not only made Ares submit to Yang Feng, but at the same time, it also attracted the desire of countless human experts to rely on Yang Feng and obtain power. In this way, Yang Feng could quickly stabilize the hearts of the people in Baza City and recruit a large number of experts. Yang Feng smiled slightly, pressed the dimensional crest on his chest, and a knowledge crystal immediately appeared in his hand. This secret treasure bronze armor is called Green Fang Lion. I'll now impart to you a cultivation secret method. With the help of the Green Fang Lion, as long as you work hard, then you can promote to a genuine level 1 Sky Knight within a few years. At that time, coupled with the Green Fang Lion, even a level 2 Warlock may not be your match. A look of ecstasy flashed in Ares' eyes. He immediately took the knowledge crystal and said, "Thank you, my lord." On top of the city wall, all the human experts looked at Ares with jealousy in their eyes. Sky Knights were very rare in Tyrannid subcontinent. On one hand, it was because the gifted geniuses basically walked the warlock's path. On the other hand, it was because secret methods to practice Sky Knights were very rare. A secret method that allowed one to reach the Sky Knight level could create a powerful Knight clan. Although a Sky Knight's battle prowess couldn't compare to that of an official level 1 warlock, but a Sky Knight already had the power to kill a level 1 warlock. Such an expert status in Tyrannid subcontinent was still quite high. Yang Feng casually took out a secret method that allowed one to practice until the Sky Knight level. It naturally aroused the envy of countless human Knight rank experts. As night fell, the entire land was shrouded in a layer of darkness. Dark elves, as if invisible, blended into the dim light of the night and silently stealthily moved towards Baza City. Dark elves had fallen from the ranks of high elves. They had betrayed the primary god of the elven divine system, the elven ruler Daoist, and worshipped the goddess Lolth. Lolth had also spent a large amount of her divine power to bestow the dark elves with the power of dark blessing. In the darkness, they practically had the innate power of invisibility. Furthermore, their physical constitution would increase by 30% in the darkness, and they would possess the innate dark vision, allowing them to clearly see everything in the darkness. Their battle prowess would nearly double. With a little training, they would become one of the most terrifying assassins in the darkness. It was precisely by relying on the power of dark blessing that the dark elves could become an overlord in the underworld where experts were as common as clouds and freaks were as common as rain. Even though the goddess Lolth incited the dark elves to kill each other in order to please her, the dark elves still didn't betray their beliefs because they needed the power of the goddess Lolth. As if invisible, the dark elves easily stealthily moved to a place approximately 100 meters away from Baza City. However, they didn't discover that a place approximately 100 meters away from Baza City was densely interwoven with infrared rays, which were practically invisible to the naked eye, forming a large net. As soon as a dark elf entered that large net, the automatic heavy machine gun mounted on top of Baza City's city wall immediately spun, before madly spitting out countless tongues of flame, directly tearing the dark elf to pieces. Enemy attack! Enemy attack! Loud mechanically synthesized alarms instantly resounded in Baza City. Huge flares rose into the sky and blossomed with endless radiance. As if small suns, they brightly illuminated Baza City's surroundings. Densely packed human warriors quickly poured out from every corner and rushed towards the city wall. Retreat! Retreat immediately! When Biska, who was in charge of the sneak attack, saw the tyrannical dark elves being blown up one by the automatic machine gun, she was so depressed that she almost wanted to spit blood. She quickly issued the order to retreat. Only then did the tyrannical dark elves retreat, leaving behind several hundred blasted corpses. Yang Feng arrived above the city wall, looked at the several hundred blasted corpses of the dark elves below, and revealed a trace of a smile. They really haven't learned their lesson. But this way, Baza City shouldn't need me to stand guard here. The following plan can also continue. The greatest advantage of the dark elves was that they could take advantage of the darkness of the night to launch their attacks. Now that the night raid of the dark elves had been thwarted, it wouldn't be so simple for them to attack Baza City. After Yang Feng easily defeated the allied forces of the underworld's dark elves, he quickly obtained information on the state of the world from his intelligence network. The Dark Elves united with the underworld's major races and practically captured all of the human warlock strongholds in the underworld. Warlock College and Talia, White Elephant's Ivory and Eyes of Justice, the three major forces had the most strongholds in the underworld. Under the raid of the Dark Elves, they suffered disastrous casualties, with each force losing at least one level 3 warlock. Chapter 114. Rose Garden, Savage Claw, and the Black Dragon Tower immediately abandoned their strongholds in the underground world and retreated to the surface world. They gathered a large number of troops and barely managed to hold the front line. The underground world was the home ground of the Dark Elves and many other races. They could display terrifying fighting strength there. On the other hand, humans would be greatly weakened in the underground world. Warlock College and Talia, White Elephant's Ivory and Eyes of Justice, the three great forces wanted to keep the allied forces of the underworld's races out of their country, thus relying on the stronghold in the underworld to inflict great damage on the allied forces of the underworld's races. On the other hand, Rose Garden, Savage Claw, and Black Dragon Tower chose to disregard the lives and deaths of ordinary people. They retracted their forces and concentrated their forces on defending the important towns on the ground, resisting the attack of the allied forces of the underworld race. Warlock College and Talia, White Elephant's Ivory, and Eyes of Justice, after the three great forces suffered from the frenzied attacks in the underworld, they could only choose to retreat to the surface world. The allied forces of the different races in the underworld suddenly slaughtered their way out of the underworld and wantonly burned, killed, and looted in the surface world, venting their anger towards the humans as well as their bestial desires, causing great harm to the humans of the Tyrannid subcontinent. This was a catastrophe that affected half of Tyrannid subcontinent. Practically every day, a large number of humans died. The rogue warlock groups scattered in every corner had no choice but to pay a huge price to attach themselves to one large warlock group after another. Xiran Town was a small town located within the Satsuma Marking. Although it was called a small town, the population of Xiran Town was as high as 100,000. The reason why Xiran Town was able to have such a large population was entirely because there were several huge magic stone veins in the vicinity of Xiran Town. Those several magic stone veins belonged to the warlock clan Birankam clan. Although Birankam clan wasn't one of the Black Dragon Empire's 36 Black Dragon Blood Meridian clans, but it was still a Black Demonic Dragon Serpent Blood Meridian Warlock clan second only to the Black Dragon Blood Meridian clans. Experts were as common as clouds in the entire Birankam family, with at least 3 level 3 Warlock rank experts. It was one of the first-rate aristocratic families of the Black Dragon Empire. Xiran Town was filled with miners mining magic stone veins, peddlers coming from all over to purchase magic stones, as well as all kinds of prostitutes and mercenaries. A group of knights clad in heavy armor and riding black wildebeests galloped over from afar. "Stop! Who are you?" The 4 warriors in front of Xiran Town stepped forward and stopped the team of knights riding on black wildebeest and shouted. The leading knight, Bard, casually threw a document and an identity token to the 4 warriors. He said coldly, "We are Lord Lake's men. This is our proof of identity." A look of mockery flashed in the eyes of the warrior in the lead. He stepped on the document and laughed coldly. "Lord Lake? I only know that Satsuma territory belongs to Lord John. Who the hell is Lord Lake? This is the territory of the Birankam family. You're not welcome here. Get lost." The other 3 warriors also sneered as they looked at Bard and the knight behind him with ridicule. Birankam family was backed by Johann and was also one of the Black Dragon Empire's influential families. They were extremely arrogant and naturally didn't care about Yang Feng. Bud raised his brows and a trace of hostility flashed in his eyes. He said coldly, "I'm the envoy sent by Lord Rex. Get your Xiran Town's mayor to come out and see me." The leading warrior said with a cold smile, "Our Xiran Town's mayor can be met by a waste like you? Get lost, you're not welcome here." Bard swept the warrior with an ice-cold gaze and waved his hand. The entire team of knights immediately turned around and galloped back the way they came. The leading warrior spat at Bard's back and said with a cold smile, "Put, a bunch of wastes. They're really all kinds of fellows. I thought that they would come and fight us. It seems that Lord Lake isn't anything special. His subordinates are all wastes." The 4 warriors of the Birankam family at the entrance ridiculed and ridiculed. "What's that?" Suddenly, the warrior of the Birankam family pointed ahead and said. The other 3 warriors looked ahead and saw a team of 200 people clad in a layer of black armor. They were so tightly covered that they couldn't be clearly seen. The cavalry was galloping towards them. The captain's complexion changed and he roared loudly, "This is the territory of the Birankam family, stop at once." The team of cavalrymen clad in a layer of black armor were silent. Instead, they urged the black wildebeests under them to increase their speed once again. Enemy attack! The captain was also an elite of the Birankam family. He immediately took out a cylinder and crushed it. A 7-colored radiance instantly shot out from the cylinder and entered the sky, blossoming with incomparably dazzling 7-colored radiance. The entire Sharon town immediately transmitted with incomparably loud and clear alarms. The captain had just finished, when the team of cavalrymen galloped their horses and arrived before him. A knight brandished his up to 2 meters long greatsword and fiercely chopped at the captain, easily chopping him into 2. The other 3 knights also brandished their greatswords and instantly chopped the remaining 3 warriors into 2. After the terrifying team of cavalrymen killed the 4 warriors of the Birankam family, they galloped towards Sharon town like a gust of wind. Sharon town was surrounded by a up to 6 meters tall city wall. 300 fully armed warriors stood on top of the city wall. The 200 cavalrymen had just approached Sharon town, when a rain of several tens of arrows shot towards them from above the city wall. The 200 cavalrymen casually pushed aside the rain of arrows. Above the city wall, an Earth Knight rank warrior roared sternly, "Who are you? This is the territory of the Birankam family. You dare to offend our Birankam family, aren't you afraid of being exterminated?" The Birankam family had deep roots. If they left the Black Dragon Empire, they could establish a small kingdom in a remote country. With the strength of the Birankam family, they could easily destroy some small warlock clans. In the entire Black Dragon Empire, there weren't many people who would dare to provoke them. The knight covered in a layer of black armor leaped into the air and erupted with a terrifying life force. He brandished his 2 meters long greatsword and madly chopped at the Earth Knight. Chapter 115. The Earth Knight's eyes flashed with a whiff of astonishment. He stimulated all of his strength and blocked with his fine steel sword. The 2 swords clashed. The black-armored knight's greatsword at once chopped the fine steel sword in the Earth Knight's hand, then conveniently chopped the Earth Knight into 2 halves from head to toe, blood spurting in all directions. The black-armored knights leaped and directly jumped onto the huge city wall. They rushed into the crowd like fiends reaping human lives and opened up a massacre. The Sharon village's warriors were well-equipped and well-trained. But their strength and equipment were completely not on the same level as those black-armored knights. They were easily beheaded by those black-armored knights. After beheading all the warriors, those black-armored knights opened Sharon village's gate. They mounted their black wildebeests and continued to gallop towards Sharon village's mayor's residence. "Who are you?" When that team of cavalrymen had just arrived in the vicinity of Sharon village's mayor's residence, an extremely formidable life force erupted in a flash. A blonde and blue-eyed middle-aged man with a tall and sturdy figure, dressed in a white armor and holding a secret treasure greatsword, unhurriedly walked out, his eyes flashing with graveness as he looked at the 200 black-armored knights. Sky Knight Abel, this was the strongest expert of the Birankam family that was guarding Sharon town. He had a whole set of secret treasure equipment, some rogue level, 1 warlocks with weak strength might not be his match. The black-armored knight at the head didn't say any superfluous words. He instantly erupted with a formidable life force comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. His whole body blossomed with faint radiances blessed by spells. He swept towards Abel with a lightning-fast momentum and chopped at Abel with his sword. Abel's complexion abruptly changed. He urged the life energy in his body to stimulate the secret treasure armor on his body. 3 level 1 auxiliary spells, Brute Strength, Lighten, and Haste, enveloped his body in a flash, instantly increasing his strength by a large margin. He ferociously raised the secret treasure greatsword in his hand and pointed at the black-armored knight's greatsword. Ding! Along with a loud sound, Abel was immediately jolted back by 3 or 4 steps. The secret treasure greatsword in his hand at once spurted a fireball towards that black-armored knight. The level 1 secret treasure greatsword flame sword in Abel's hand had the level 1 spell fireball sealed on it. He could release 1 fireball per day. This was his most powerful trump card to reverse the situation. 2 black-armored knights stepped forward in a split second and raised 2 large shields. 2 transparent protective covers appeared in a flash. The fireball slammed into the 2 transparent shields, directly blasting one of them into smithereens and dissipating. 6 black-armored knights stepped forward in a split second and madly stabbed at Abel with their greatswords in their hands. After the 6 black-armored knights' heads were chopped off, they of their heads, of their bodies, of blood, they madly stabbed at Abel. Abel's body. After their of Abel of their heads of their bodies, their Abel's blood of the mountain of his, they of it. The level 1 spell warping force field on Abel's secret treasure armor burst out in a flash, directly deflecting the 6 sharp greatswords to the side, avoiding that sure kill attack. At that moment, the leader of the black-armored knights swung his sword and slashed at Abel with all his might. Abel hurriedly raised his sword to block, and was forced to retreat 6 to 7 steps by the black-armored knight. The other 6 black-armored cavalries took the opportunity to swing their greatswords horizontally, chopping at Abel's body. They forcibly split Abel's protective armor and conveniently chopped him into several pieces. The leading black-armored knight waved his sword and chopped off Abel's head, then pointed at the mayor's house. The black-armored cavalrymen immediately charged into the mayor's house. Waves of blood-curdling screeches came from the Sharon village's mayor's house. Not long after, the group of black-armored cavalries galloped out of the Sharon village's mayor's house, their bodies covered in blood, and quickly left Sharon village. In Sharon town, no one dared to obstruct that fiendish black-armored knight. Not long after that team of black-armored knights left, Bud led a team of knights and directly entered Sharon town. As soon as Bart entered Sharon town, he beheaded a few dozen thugs that were looting everywhere. Then he sent people to invite all the reputable people in Sharon town. Bud beamed as he looked at those reputable people in Sharon town and said, "I'm Lord Rex's subordinate Bud. I've been tracking the remnants of a dark elven tribe until I arrived here. Unfortunately, I was too late. He couldn't save Sharon town's mayor's family. Now, according to Lord Rex's orders, the entire Sharon town is under military control. I have the authority to kill anyone who disobeys Lord Rex's orders on the spot. If anyone has any different opinions, feel free to speak up." It was unknown how many years those reputable people of Sharon town had lived here. Many of them had seen the destruction of one warlock clan after another for the sake of magic stone veins. Mortals like them only had a bit of money, but they couldn't contend against those warlock groups. Now that Bud had clearly come for the magic stone veins in the vicinity of Sharon town's reputable people naturally didn't dare to contend against him. Our entire Sharon town welcomes Lord Bud's arrival. Our Sharon town is willing to obey Lord Rex's orders. After a moment of silence, those Sharon town's reputable people felt Bud's murderous gaze. One after another, a touch of a flattering smile hung on their faces as they said loudly. Bud swept those Sharon town's reputable people with a glance. His eyes flashed with a touch of contempt and a smile. As long as these Sharon town's reputable people didn't fall into disorder, then the entire Sharon town wouldn't fall into disorder. That very night, a huge convoy consisting of heavy-duty trucks, towing all kinds of heavy mining equipment, directly entered Sharon town. They then passed through Sharon town and advanced towards the magic stone veins. Very quickly, mechanical rumbling sounds were transmitted from within the magic stone veins. Sharon town had already been operated by Berenkum family for more than 100 years. Even though Sharon town had already been cleansed by those black armored knights, there were still many Berankam family spies. Those spies passed on everything they saw to Berankam family through various means. Yang Feng practically used thunderous methods to clean up the magic stone veins that originally belonged to the various great warlock clans within Satsuma Marquisdom. He swallowed all of those magic stone veins and then frantically mined them. Under his desperate mining, he would obtain more than 5 million inferior magic stones every day. Apart from that, there were also a large number of accompanying intermediate, superior, and even a small number of top-notch magic stones. After those warlock clans' magic stone veins were seized by Yang Feng, it set off a huge wave. Those warlock clans whose interests were damaged one after another went to the aristocratic senate to demand that their ownership of the veins be restored and that Yang Feng be punished. Chapter 116. In the Garden of the Black Dragon Empire's Imperial Palace. The Emperor of the Black Dragon Empire, Solomon, was sitting on a chair with 2 sexy girls in his arms. Several beautiful girls were standing to the side, peeling fruits and feeding them to his mouth. A middle-aged man walked up to Solomon and handed him a document. "Your Majesty, these are petitions from the 28 warlock families of Satsuma Marquisdom. Your Majesty, please issue a decree to strip Laker of his Viscount title and all the rights to his territory. At the same time, return the magic stone mines to his family." This middle-aged man was Black Dragon Empire's General Manager of Internal Affairs Bennett. He possessed the terrifying strength of a pinnacle level 3 warlock. He was also Solomon's absolute confidant and held great power in the Black Dragon Empire. Solomon picked up the document and swept it with a glance, before throwing it aside and saying lightly, "Rex really occupied the magic stone veins of the 28 warlock families?" A strange glint flashed in Bennegat's eyes as he said provocatively, "Yes." Although Laker had disguised himself as a dark elf and handed over a few hundred dark elf corpses, the Dark Elf King was still a dark elf. However, his men quickly occupied those magic stone veins and began to mine them like crazy. According to all the signs, it's very likely that he's taken over those magic stone veins. Solomon chuckled. What's the big possibility? Those magic stone mines were forcibly occupied by him. Bennett hesitated for a moment before saying, "Your Majesty, forcibly occupying a noble's magic stone vein is a capital offense." The Satsuma Marquisdom had a large number of magic stone veins. It was one of the territories with the most magic stone veins in the Black Dragon Empire. However, the majority of the magic stone veins were occupied by warlock families. According to Black Dragon Empire's laws, even Johann was unable to invade those magic stone veins. Now those magic stone veins were forcibly occupied by Yang Feng. According to Black Dragon Empire's laws, Yang Feng would definitely be sentenced to death. He's smart. He didn't blatantly invade, but used a dark elf as an excuse. Moreover, the timing was also very clever. If we deprive him of his title and territory, who will go to the Satsuma Marquisdom to fight those dark elves? Bennegat fell silent as well. In the Black Dragon Empire, there were 8 exits connected to the underground world. One of them was blocked by Yang Feng. In the other 7 directions, the warlocks of Black Dragon Empire and the Dark Elves were fighting each other endlessly, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Unless a large number of experts were transferred from the Black Dragon Tower's headquarters to the Satsuma territory, it would be impossible to find a mobile force to suppress the Satsuma territory's Dark Elves' allied forces from the underground world. Solomon smiled. He is very valuable now. He was also very clear that he was very valuable, which was why he was so ruthless. Such a young man really can't be underestimated. Solomon said faintly, "Bennegat, send a message to Lake. I want 40% of the magic stones mined from the magic stone vein." Although Solomon was the emperor of the Black Dragon Empire and controlled a huge amount of resources, many of those resources belonged to the empire and not to him. Although he could use the Black Dragon Empire's vast resources to cultivate, he had never relaxed his collection of private resources. In the future, after Solomon abdicated, he would have to use his own private resources to train. Of course, The Black Dragon Pagoda would also allocate a portion of its resources for him to cultivate, but for things like resources, the more the better. Benedict replied respectfully, "Yes. Your Majesty." Fire Kingdom was one of the largest kingdoms in Tyrannid subcontinent, second only to the Black Dragon Empire and a few other empires. The warlock group that ruled Fire Kingdom was Fire Pagoda. Fire Pagoda's master was the great warlock Traximus. Fire Pagoda was a peak warlock group second only to Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great forces. Traximus was also recognized as one of Tyrannid subcontinent's strongest experts, possessing terrifying strength infinitely close to that of a starry sky warlock. If it wasn't for the fact that Fire Pagoda only had him as a great warlock, then Fire Pagoda might even be promoted to Tyrannid subcontinent's 7th great force. Fire Pagoda was located in Fire Kingdom's Valley of Flames. That Valley of Flames was a valley formed by more than a dozen active volcanoes. Traximus used a terrifying spell to directly integrate those more than a dozen active volcanoes into Valley of Flames' defensive system before establishing a 7-story tall Warlock Pagoda in Valley of Flames. With that Warlock Pagoda as the core, a beautiful and moving city was built. In that Valley of Flames, there were several hundred Warlock Pagodas with at least 3-story tall, forming a group of Warlock Pagodas. More than 30,000 apprentice warlocks studied all kinds of knowledge in this Valley of Flames, while more than 200,000 ordinary people worked here, serving those apprentice warlocks as well as warlocks. Inside that 7-story tall Warlock Pagoda, the door at the top slowly opened. An old man with white hair and a pair of spirited eyes, seemingly brimming with even more vigor than a youngster, dressed in a chongpao embroidered with flames and a golden thread on the cuffs of the chongpao, unhurriedly walked out. This old man was Fire Pagoda's master, Traximus. After Traximus walked out of the door, his body at once turned into a ball of flames, disappearing from where he stood, before strangely appearing in a secret room. In the secret room, there stood a seductive female warlock with a fiery and sensual figure, a pair of huge breasts nearly bursting out of her clothes, a pair of slender and beautiful legs, dressed in a silver low-cut warlock robe with a slit. The whole secret room was filled with an incomparably wonderful fragrance. Traximus' eyebrows creased slightly as he said, "Anna, what the hell is going on? Didn't I say that if there's nothing urgent, then don't disturb me?" Anna said with a worried expression, "Teacher, the Dark Elves have joined forces with the Underworld's many races and have already come out of the Underworld." Traximus sneered and said extremely contemptuously, "Dark Elves? Trifling Dark Elves aren't enough, they're only fit to be our playthings." Tyrannid subcontinent's Dark Elves were toys and pets captured from other planes by human warlocks in ancient times. As a peak great warlock, Traximus naturally wouldn't put trifling Dark Elves in his eyes. "Teacher, since you're sure that you can deal with them, then that's for the best." Anna seemed to have heaved a sigh of relief. She gave an extremely charming smile, her tender body swayed slightly, the loose warlock gown faintly revealed a large expanse of her snow-white skin. Traximus's gaze shifted and fell on Anna's snow-white skin. His breathing became slightly hurried. With a flash of magic radiance, all of his clothes flew to one side. He grabbed Anna and revealed a trace of a lascivious smile. "You little slut, did you miss me these past few days?" Anna moaned and threw herself into Traximus's embrace. Chapter 117. At once, the two people intertwined. At the most crucial moment, Anna's eyes flashed with a touch of a cold glint. She turned around and embraced Traximus. Her cherry lips parted and a black light instantly shot out from her mouth, piercing Traximus's heart. "Fuck! You dare betray me!" Traximus's eyes flashed with a touch of astonishment. He bellowed madly and erupted with the terrifying life force of a great warlock rank in a flash. An incomparably terrifying flame erupted in a flash and a claw dug towards Anna's heart. "Save me!" Anna faced upwards and uttered an incomparably mournful scream. She merely possessed the strength of a pinnacle level 3 warlock. In front of the great warlock Traximus, she was merely a slightly stronger mouse. She was basically unable to withstand his furious blow. Traximus's claw pierced into Anna's heart, Flames erupted in a flash and directly burned Anna into a pile of ashes. Gotcha! Suddenly, a handsome man dressed in black appeared at the side of the secret room. He looked to be about 21 or 22 years old. In his right hand was a death substitution wood carving, while on his left hand was Anna, who should have been dead. That young man gracefully bowed towards Traximus and said with a faint smile, "Nice to meet you, Lord Traximus. My name is Bartolio, and my race is what you humans call the fiendish demon race. I'm very happy to meet you." Traximus's eyes spurted traces of flames. He clutched his chest, glared at Anna and roared with incomparable fury, "Why did you betray me? Anna, I've been so good to you, why did you betray me? Traximus, I've never loved you. Ever since you burned my most beloved Lek to death, I've always wanted to kill you. I joined Fire Pagoda in order to kill you. I've already waited for 100 years for this day. Under the support of these demons, I was able to quickly grow from an ordinary apprentice warlock with an intermediate level 4 soul aptitude to a genius with an inferior level 6 soul aptitude and promote to a level 1 warlock, thus entering your line of sight. I was the one who let these demons in. All of Fire Pagoda's spell nodes have already been destroyed. You can no longer draw support from the Warlock Pagoda's power. What you've been afflicted with is the demonic demon clan's bone-rotting poison. As time passes, you'll only become weaker and weaker. Eventually, even your bones will slowly melt and you'll die. Anna smiled maliciously and said with incomparable resentment, "Bone-corroding poison." Traximus felt a chill in his heart. He frantically circulated his mental power and stimulated the powerful life energy in his body in an attempt to force the bone-corroding poison out of his body. Bone-eroding poison was a highly toxic poison developed by Hellion clan and used against human warlocks. It was a terrifying poison refined from the heart blood of venomous Hellions. Depending on the different materials, even if it was a great warlock rank expert, if they weren't a poison-attributed great warlock, then they would still have a slim chance of surviving the bone-rotting poison. Too late. If you are given time, you might be able to neutralize the bone-rotting poison. However, I won't give you that chance. But Dalio faintly smiled, and his body instantly dispersed and disappeared. In a flash, an extremely sharp bone spur burst out from Traximus's shadow and pierced his head. With a forceful twist, Traximus's head was smashed to pieces. Fire Pagoda's master, the great warlock Traximus, died in such a sullen manner, without being able to display his terrifying battle prowess. But Dalio picked up the robe that Traximus took off, swept it with a glance, and revealed a trace of a smile. Superior teleportation, superior warping force field, superior curse resistance, superior wind control. This magic flame robe is worthy of being a legend rank secret treasure. If he hadn't taken off this secret treasure robe of his own accord, then killing him wouldn't have been that simple. A black ray of light suddenly rose from the flaming valley and disappeared into the sky. An extremely tyrannical life force suddenly gushed out from the surroundings of the Valley of Flames. Countless Hellion clan experts rushed towards the Valley of Flames. Violent fluctuations of spells and loud sounds of fighting were transmitted from the Valley of Flames. After a day and a night, the fighting in the Valley of Flames finally stopped. Only, the inside of the Valley of Flames had already turned into hell on earth. After the destruction of Fire Pagoda, Fire Country also quickly fell under the attack of the Hellions. Practically at the same time, Snow White Pagoda, Blue Bay House, Fire Heart, Lightning Eye, and other human warlock groups with great warlocks overseeing them were assassinated one after another. Then, their entire forces were destroyed by the allied forces of the Underworld's races, with only a few failures. Under the assassinations of the allied forces of the Underworld's races, a total of 7 great warlocks fell, while 3 great warlocks were seriously injured and fled without a trace. The entire Tyrannid subcontinent sank into a huge shock. Black Dragon Empire merely had 7 great warlocks. Within a short period of less than a month, 7 great warlocks had fallen and 3 great warlocks were seriously injured. The terrifying strength displayed by the allied forces of the Underworld's races shocked the entire Tyrannid subcontinent. The originally aloof human warlocks, who basically didn't attach any importance to the allied forces of the underworld's races, finally put away their arrogance and were full of vigilance towards the allied forces of the underworld's races. Demon Assassin Bartolio, Shadow Goddess Malia, Night Hunter Romulage. These three legend-rank assassins from the allied forces of the underworld's races were famous throughout the entire Tyrannid subcontinent. Tyrannid subcontinent's 10 great warlocks had suffered disastrous casualties under the assassinations of these three legend-rank assassins. Apart from the 6 great warlock groups, practically all the human forces with great warlocks had already begun to shrink their defensive perimeter, concentrating their forces in their nests and frantically searching for and purging traitors and spies within their forces, not daring to dispatch their troops. Under such circumstances, the allied forces of the underworld's races were like fish in water, occupying a large area of Tyrannid subcontinent's land and unceasingly exploiting all kinds of resources, obtaining tremendous benefits. Furthermore, they had begun to manufacture all kinds of weapons and expand their forces. Giant Stone City, inside the portable fortified stronghold. The current situation doesn't look good. Should I just run away and retreat to the main continent? Yang Feng looked at the intelligence reports coming from all over, his eyebrows creased slightly and thoughts of retreating arose in his heart. He had already built the portable fortified stronghold and had stockpiled a large amount of magic stones, steel and energy crystals inside. Even if he were to withdraw to the main continent, he would still be able to quickly develop it again. Within a short period of a month, 10 human great warlocks had already been killed or seriously injured. Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great forces were still fighting on their own. They didn't join forces. Yang Feng felt that the human warlock's odds of success weren't great. He had already made preparations to flee. Chapter 118. Ever since the portable fortified stronghold was built, the battle potential of the primary battle robots in Yang Feng's hands suddenly skyrocketed by more than 100-fold. However, he also didn't have the intention to use his main battle robots to fight desperately for the humans of Tyrannid subcontinent. Now, after he dispatched his primary battle robots to help Tyrannid subcontinent's humans defeat the allied forces from the underworld's races, then he might become the enemy of Tyrannid subcontinent's 6 great warlock groups, and then his development would be restricted by the 6 great warlock groups, without any benefits. Moreover, Yang Feng wasn't a native of Tyrannid subcontinent. He also didn't have the noble sentiment of risking his life for this subcontinent's people without asking for anything in return. Naturally, he would not be willing to throw his combat power into a dangerous war without any returns. Eunice, Judy, Shui, the people that Yang Feng valued more had already returned to Giant Stone City. Yang Feng could start the portable fortified stronghold and flee at any time. A crisp bell suddenly sounded beside Yang Feng. He put on his helmet. The eyes of the liquid metal robot named Yang Yi glowed red as he walked towards the meeting hall. "Greetings, City Lord." Alan, who was dressed in a silver-white warlock's robe with a silver thread on the cuffs, saluted respectfully towards Yang Feng. Relying on the huge amount of resources provided by Yang Feng, Alan had finally successfully promoted to a level 1 warlock not long ago. This made him feel even more grateful and awed towards Yang Feng. "What is it?" "Warlock College and Talia's Uterax Darren requests an audience." "Then tell him to meet me in the parlor." "City Lord, Uterax didn't come alone this time. The patriarch of the Fernandro family, Lamix, has also come." Yang Feng was very surprised. "Lamix? Why is he here?" Yang Feng's Steel City practically swallowed half of Fernandro Principality and developed by stepping on Fernandro family's head. Fernandro family's people wished that they could pull out Yang Feng's tendons, pull out his bones and burn him to ashes. However, the corpses of more than 300 spies and assassins would fall outside Black City every year, showing the terror of Steel City's mechanical legion, making Fernandro clan basically unable to do anything. Yang Feng thought for a while and then said, "Let him come as well." Even if a powerful politician encountered the enemy who killed his father, he would still cooperate and form an alliance for the sake of his own interests. Although Yang Feng wasn't a qualified politician, but he didn't have any qualms about meeting Fernandro clan's people. After all, it was him who took advantage of the Fernandro clan, and not the other way around. Black City, inside the reception hall. As soon as Yang Feng saw Utarax, he greeted him enthusiastically. "Utarax, my good friend. What brings you here this time?" At that time, Utarax gave Yang Feng a life-saving wooden card and saved him at that time. Yang Feng was grateful to him. Utarax said in a deep voice, "Yang Yi, I've come with an order from Warlock College in Talia. The Senate orders you to immediately dispatch troops to Fernandro's capital for defense." Yang Feng readily agreed, "No problem." Utarax heaved a sigh of relief. He originally thought that Yang Feng would sternly refuse this order. At that time, he would be in a dilemma. Lynx, a handsome middle-aged man standing beside Utarax, heaved a sigh of relief. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, "As long as Warlock College and Talia allocates 30 million magic stones to me, then I'll immediately dispatch troops." Directly disobeying Warlock College and Talia's order was extremely unwise. Yang Feng naturally wouldn't obediently obey Warlock College and Talia's order and go fight to the death for Fernandro Principality. Utarax's smile stiffened at once. The beautiful, pure and brimming with a noble temperament, the beautiful young Lady Jessica looked pitifully at Yang Feng and implored softly, "Respected Steel City's City Lord Darren, I'm Jessica, Fernandro Principality's Fernandro clan's third successor. 30 million magic stones is too much. Our Fernandro clan is unable to come up with such a huge sum. Could you make an exception? Our Fernandro clan is willing to come up with 300,000 magic stones. Please send troops to support us." Yang Feng's gaze fell on Jessica and he revealed a trace of a smile. Fernandro clan's Jessica was recognized as one of the strongest few geniuses among the students of Yang Feng's same batch. In a short span of 2 years, she had already promoted to a level 2 apprentice warlock. She was pursued by countless male students in Warlock College in Talia and was recognized as one of the 4 great beauties among the students of Yang Feng's batch. Yang Feng said faintly, "All right, I'll send an infantry regiment to support you." After Yang Feng took control of Steel City, he immediately reorganized the army, changing it into the Earth's military system that he was most familiar with. An infantry regiment had about 1,500 soldiers. Jessica's pretty face changed slightly, revealing a delicate and pitiful expression. She implored softly, "Could you please send 5 mechanized infantry divisions to support us?" Over the past 2 years, many factions had sent spies into the City of Steel, many of whom had official identities. Under those people's investigations, some intelligence that Yang Feng had deliberately released was also directly grasped by them. Only then did Jessica understand what a mechanized infantry division was. In Black Dragon Empire, the large number of heavy artillery sold by Yang Feng had already displayed a tremendous might in the war. Black Dragon Empire's aristocrats had placed a large number of orders with Yang Feng to purchase all kinds of heavy artillery. Now in Tyrannid subcontinent, many forces were aware of the might of Steel City's heavy artillery. In Tyrannid subcontinent, there were also a lot of formidable weapons manufactured by Warlock advanced alchemists, many of which were even more terrifying than those heavy artillery. However, in terms of cost-effectiveness, Steel City's heavy artillery was the most cost-effective. One had to know that the price of a level 1 fireball spell scroll was more than 10,000 magic stones. In small-scale battles, a level 1 fireball could help a level 1 warlock defeat another level 1 warlock. However, in large-scale battles, the might of a fireball was far inferior to the might of a large-caliber heavy artillery shell. Yang Feng very conscientiously priced a large-caliber heavy artillery shell at 500 magic stones. Each of Yang Feng's mechanized infantry divisions was equipped with a large number of tanks, self-propelled artillery, rocket artillery, heavy-duty armed helicopters, bombers, and transport aircraft. That was why Jessica wanted Yang Feng to send his mechanized infantry divisions to support them, instead of casually sending some cannon fodder. 1,500 unarmed and untrained people were sent to the battlefield. Their value was not even comparable to that of 50 fully armed and well-trained real soldiers. Chapter 119. Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Mechanized infantry divisions? That's impossible. The selling price of our alchemical heavy artillery is at least 100,000 magic stones. A shell is 500 magic stones. Each of my mechanized infantry divisions possesses at least 100 heavy artillery. A mechanized infantry division is worth at least 100 million magic stones. How is it possible for me to send them to protect your Fernandro family for free?" Jessica's smiling face stiffened, her expression at once became incomparably gloomy, revealing a pitiful expression that aroused people's tenderness. Lamix took a step forward, looked at Yang Feng and said in a deep voice, "Yang Yi, this is an order issued by Warlock College Antalya. Don't tell me you want to go against the college's order?" Yang Feng said with a sneer, "How could I go against the college's order? Warlock College Antalya only ordered me to support you, but didn't specify how to support you." Utarax said in a deep voice, "Yang Yi, without the lips, the teeth will be cold. If Fernandro Principality is destroyed, then the next target of the allied forces of the different races will be you. If you send troops to guard Fernandro Principality, then the war will only break out in Fernandro Principality, it won't affect you much. Even if Fernandro Principality is destroyed, then you can still calmly organize a second line of defense." Lemix's and Jessica's complexions at once became extremely unsightly, but they were very smart to maintain their silence. Yang Feng gave a slight smile and said without yielding an inch, "Unless Fernandro Principality's territory completely belongs to me, otherwise, it's impossible for me to dispatch my mechanized infantry divisions." Jessica's pretty face surged with a touch of a holy radiance of self-sacrifice. She took a step forward, looked straight at Yang Feng and pleaded softly, "Respected Yang Yi Darren, if you're willing to dispatch 3 mechanized infantry divisions to reinforce Fernandro Principality, then I'll send 3 mechanized infantry divisions as reinforcements. Then, regardless of success or failure, I'm willing to become your woman and completely obey any of your demands." Yang Feng gave a faint smile, directly striking at Jessica's self-esteem and said, "I'm sorry, but I think that you're worth less than 100 million magic stones." Jessica's pretty face paled, her beautiful eyes surged with a touch of humiliation. She retreated and her eyes surged with traces of mist. In the slave market, 1 magic stone could already buy a rather beautiful virgin. With 1 million magic stones, one could even buy some level 1 warlock female slaves in some special slave markets. With such a huge sum of 100 million magic stones, Yang Feng could purchase enough resources to promote to a level 2 warlock. Utarax pondered for a while before slowly saying, "All right, I promise you. As long as you dispatch troops to defend the capital of Fernandro Principality, then the entire Fernandro Principality will be under your control in the future." Upon hearing this, Lamix and Jessica's expressions changed drastically. They stared at Utarax in disbelief. Fernandro Principality was the foundation of the Fernandro family. Although there weren't many magic stone veins within Fernandro Principality, but it was rich in natural resources and had a huge population. It could completely become the foundation and land of inheritance of a level 3 warlock clan. Previously, Yangfang Steel City only had an annual income of 3,000 plus magic stones. That was because he didn't put much effort into managing his territory. At the same time, countless resources were used to manufacture the Mechanical Legion, which was why the income was so low. Yang Feng said with some surprise, "Utarax, have you obtained Warlock College Antalya's authorization?" The Southern States Coalition was under the control of Warlock College Antalya. Every principality had a master. Any changes required the approval of Warlock College Antalya's Senate. "I have authorization. This is the mainland's Holy War Decree jointly issued by Warlock College Antalya, White Elephant's Ivory, Eyes of Justice, Rose Garden, Savage Claw and Black Dragon Pagoda. In this human's holy war, any force that defeats the Underworld's coalition and obtains a piece of land, as long as they can hold on until the end of the holy war, then that piece of land will become the force's territory. As long as you have the ability, then Cineris Principality and Potent Principality can be brought under your control." Utarax said faintly. After the Underworld's allied forces led by the Dark Elves assassinated 10 human great warlocks, They swept through Tyrandot's subcontinent like a whirlwind. Top forces with great warlocks keeping watch, as well as some level 3 warlock forces with powerful inheritances and at least 7-story tall warlock pagodas, could barely hold on to their foundations. Forces without level 3 warlocks simply couldn't resist the assault of the underworld's allied forces. Xianxia Principality and Potent Principality, the two great principalities, had already been defeated by the underworld's allied forces and annexed. Originally, Yang Feng didn't have any interest in dispatching troops to confront the underworld's allied forces, but now he was extremely interested. The combined area of Xianxia Principality and Potent Principality, the two great principalities, was more than 50 times that of Satsuma Martyrdom. Although the two great principalities' magic stone veins were far from that of Satsuma Martyrdom, but they were still rich in resources required for warlocks to practice cultivation. If the two great principalities were to be annexed, then Yang Feng's forces would once again surge by a large margin. Yang Feng said decisively, "All right, I'll dispatch troops tomorrow." Lei Mix was silent for a moment, then said unhurriedly, "Yang Yi Darren, I have the corpse of an adult Moffin demonic polar bear, containing its fur, bones and crystal core. I'm willing to offer this Moffin demonic polar bear's corpse to you." Uterax exclaimed, "Moffin demonic polar bear. That's an extraordinary life form capable of manipulating the power of the earth. After reaching adulthood, it possesses battle prowess comparable to that of a great warlock rank." Yang Feng couldn't help but be moved when he heard that. The corpse of a great warlock rank extraordinary life form, it was definitely a rare treasure. Furthermore, by relying on the formidable manufacturing ability of the portable fortified stronghold, as long as there was a complete great warlock rank extraordinary life form corpse, then it could be transformed into a great warlock rank mechanical battle beast. In Tyrandot subcontinent, the corpse of a great warlock rank extraordinary life form was priceless. It was a peerless treasure that could only be chanced upon and not sought. Once it appeared, it would basically be carved up by those great warlock rank experts. Even if Yang Feng had a huge amount of magic stones, he still wouldn't be able to purchase a great warlock rank extraordinary life form corpse. Yang Feng suppressed the longing in his heart and said without batting an eyelid, "What do you want?" As long as Lei Mix didn't make any excessive demands, then Yang Feng intended to agree. Lei Mix said unhurriedly, "I want our Fernandro Principality to continue on and not be destroyed in this time's holy war. In addition, I also hope that Jessica can marry you's only blood relative, Yang Feng." Jessica looked at Lei Mix with an astonished expression, yet very rationally maintained her silence. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation, audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.